Used car deals you can trust.
Yes, during the holy month of Ramadan, accidents are on the rise. That's what we're talking about in this segment now for Motor Mania. We are live in the studio with some guests who are going to talk about this because last year, Road Safety UAE found that during this period, accidents occur in the morning and, of course, just after iftar. Now, while accidents involve pedestrians, cyclists and motorists, more often than not, heavy-duty vehicles, in fact, are being singled out due to the magnitude of the road crashes that they tend up getting involved in. In Abu Dhabi and Al Ain, there is a ban on heavy-duty trucks, lorries and buses carrying more than 50 passengers between the hours of 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. and again from the hours of 2 p.m. through to 4 p.m. throughout the month. Now, this month alone, 2 accidents in Dubai involved trucks. The first one was on the Dubai Al Ain Road. It resulted in serious injuries when a driver took the right lane. The other one was on Emirates Road with the driver sustaining very serious injuries. Is it possible to have safer roads with trucks around? So today, we invited two guests who know all about heavy-duty vehicles. I'm joined by Naveen Suk, the Fleet Board Manager for Daimler, and Melissa Gilroy, part of the Mercedes-Benz and Fuso trucks, who recently obtained your heavy-duty truck driving licence. And, of course, we're still joined by Noel Ebden. Welcome, everyone.
Hi. Thank you very much for having us for the show.
Fantastic. So why do you think trucks have a bad reputation on UAE roads?
Damien, thank you for having us on the show, and Ramadan Kareem to all the listeners. When it comes to truck driving in the MENA region, or mainly in UAE, from our side as Mercedes-Benz Trucks, we have our dealers who do a lot of training for our drivers, but the other road users also need to have a little bit of understanding of the operation of the trucks. So, the trucks are driving with heavy loads. The drivers are quite in a rush sometimes. But when it comes to Ramadan, obviously the sleep patterns have changed. This leads to drowsiness, dizziness, etc., and also a loss of concentration on the road. So this is the key messages via driver training from our general distributors and ourselves, who are supporting our transport operators in educating the drivers about driving with a different type of attitude, especially during the Ramadan period. The trucks nowadays are equipped with a lot of safety systems, so this helps some of our drivers or those that are driving these trucks with our safety systems, like active brake assist, because if you notice on the UAE roads, most truck accidents are caused by following distance. You have them driving in one lane, and if you look on the truck road, they are allowed to overtake there, but on the Abu Dhabi side, it's one free lane driving directly almost to Saudi Arabia, and this tends to loss of concentration and
So tell us, Naveen, talk us through the training that you actually conduct to prepare truck drivers to head out on the roads. What are the specifics that you look at?
Okay, from our side, we have various levels of training courses. So we start off with a 2-day familiarization course. So this is getting the driver to know all the systems on the trucks. In today's world, I'd like to call our truck drivers managers of our systems now, because you have so many systems. Like on Mercedes-Benz trucks, we have our automated transmission called PowerShift. This leads to less fatigue for the driver, and he keeps both hands on the steering wheel. It can also lead sometimes to a bit of laziness, because now it's an automated truck, and then the driver needs to understand that, because they are coming from many, many generations from manual, or what we call the stick shift, and now we have automated shift. Then we have a lot of safety systems, like active brake assist is the most famous one. And this is the latest technology on most European trucks, and with Mercedes-Benz trucks, we are leading in the safety system. So basically, the system is working with radar and cameras, and it's helping the driver in case he's losing concentration and avoiding a rear-end collision. There are also other systems for the drivers where they need a bit of education. It's like lane assist or proximity control using the cruise control systems. And this is the very stringent training that we do. Most of the big fleets, they have their own driver trainers who are supported by us and our dealer driver trainers who are relaying these messages and continuous driver training. So it's
So Melissa, I'd like to come to you now very quickly. Now, you've got experience with all of this. You're, as I said before, you're part of Mercedes-Benz and Fuso Trucks. You've just got your heavy-duty vehicle license.
That's correct.
I mean, that is fascinating. That's fantastic, Mabruk. That's amazing. How was the training and why? And how was the training?
Okay. First of all, I'm so happy that I got this truck driving license because I've been in this industry for around 10 to 12 years, 13 years in this industry, truck industry. And for me to have that opportunity to finally take a truck on the UAE roads, that was fascinating.
I'm very jealous, by the way, because this is something I wanted to do for ages.
You must do it.
Me
I mean, from the experience, my own experience, I said this is something that it's amazing experience. But definitely the training process that we have over here, the schools for training, it's very rigorous, very intense, and it takes you a couple of months actually to go for this training. You train on a tipper, you train on a tractor unit, you have to reverse it, you train with the load. It is quite intense. And right after I got my license, during our training, we were training with the manual gearbox. And, it is a lot of work. You have to shift at the right time. You have to be aware of the road. You have to be aware of everybody around you. It was a lot of work also. But then immediately, like 2 days, 3 days after I got my license, we have some of our demo units here in the region. And I had this fantastic opportunity to drive one of our demo units. We nicknamed it the Beast because it's our big RX 8x8 with 625 horsepower. And I had to drive this truck all the way from Abu Dhabi to Dubai. And it's not something that I was trained with. I was trained with a manual gearbox. So my teammate, my manager, Stefan and Ziad, was there with me, teaching me, just to make sure, okay, you're calm, you got this. And then we did a couple of test drives around the area, some sand area where there was no much traffic, for me to get the feel of the truck. And what you won't believe is that even though they calm me down, but for me to handle such a big and powerful truck, and it was with such ease because it had this automated gearbox in this, our automated gearbox in this, and the handling, the comfort. And so all I have to concentrate was making sure that this big truck that I have I was driving it carefully, and I didn't have to be bothered of changing the gears and, at the right speed, all of that. And by the time, I think it took me around 1 hour, 1.5 hours to reach Dubai, I was cool as a cucumber, actually.
Fantastic. We've got a great question from Alyssa, who's listening in to us. Wants to know, do you know how many women in the region have a truck license?
Unfortunately, we don't have this information, but recently we had an event and we were told that it's just a handful of us who has the truck driving license, and I think it's something that everybody should go ahead.
I was going to say it's got to be literally a handful. I think you could probably count on both hands, I would guess. Yeah.
Naveen, back to you. When you talk about statistics with accidents and that sort of thing, are other motorists partly to blame? I mean, is it because maybe other drivers are impatient because of the speed of the trucks, or they're not aware of blind spots that, for instance, the truck drivers deal with? How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, I think educating the mainly passenger car or light motor vehicle drivers about the blind spot of a truck is very, very important. At Mercedes-Benz trucks, we actually developed a carpet type of system that we used to show school children what is the blind spot. And you often see in heavy traffic that a light motor vehicle is trying to squeeze between a truck and the driver has completely no view of them. Our latest technology is our mirror cam system on the truck, and this was launched in 2019 with our latest Mercedes-Benz truck, and this helps a lot for relieving part of the blind spot area that we did not have previously. But, it's something that's coming in the future for everybody.
I think truck drivers get a really bad rap, especially in this part of the world. And quite a lot of the time, it's actually car drivers that physically don't understand. I mean, the amount of times I've seen a car dive into a gap between two trucks to get in, and they don't understand that gap's there for a reason. And it's very, and one thing leads to another, because then the truck drivers tend to bunch up more to stop that happening, because otherwise they've got cars darting in front of them, and then suddenly you've got trucks driving too close to each other, which again causes even more accidents, etc., etc. So it's a tough gig. I mean, it's not an easy thing for the guys.
I tend to put it, and I was speaking with Matthew from Algo Driven earlier on about this, saying that generally when it comes to blind spots, I have a rule of thumb that if I can't see the driver's eyes through the mirrors, then they can't see me. So I tend to look for the mirrors on the side of the truck, either side, to see whether they can see me first before I decide to turn left or right or to overtake. I guess these are things that are coming up in the safety guide that you've been producing.
Yeah, exactly. On some trucks, you might see a sign on the back of the trailer. Some companies do have this. They say it's exactly mentioning what you've mentioned. Like, if you cannot see my mirrors, I cannot see you. That's where it's going to. And then also people like cutting into the front of a truck. Light motor drivers do not understand the braking characteristic of the truck, because you've got a very heavy load
with the weight transfer.
50 or 60 tons, so it's not stopping like a passenger car or light motor vehicle. So this leads to serious accidents, and this is what we try and educate our drivers, mainly about following distance, because that causes a lot of accidents from our experience.
Yeah, another message too, texting in again. Melissa, do you recommend who would you recommend as a school for learning to drive a truck for female truck drivers?
I mean, this is from my personal experience. We were training with the Belasa Driving Institute, and overall, even starting from the RTS guidelines for truck drivers, I would say, they have it on spot on with the information of how to check your truck, what kind of driver you need to be. So I think if we have the RTS guidelines along with we did it with Bella's school. So for me, it depends on what.
Fantastic. So just very quickly before we wrap up, message for motorists who find themselves sharing a road with truck drivers. What would your advice be?
I think they need to mainly stay out of the blind spot of a truck driver, of the truck. Avoid cutting in front of a truck because of the braking characteristics, which they don't understand. And especially now during Ramadan, the truck drivers are also sometimes driving or trying to do their work normally. Maybe they have to do the same amount of trips, and they are fatigued like every other person that's fasting. So, be a little bit more considerate with them. And message to the truck drivers and fleet operators out there from our side is to allow your drivers to plan their trips better, maybe do less trips because work is less during Ramadan, and support your drivers in having more break times to lessen their fatigue.
Couldn't agree more. Naveen Sook, Fleet Board Manager for Daimler, thank you so much for joining us. Melissa Gilroy, again, congratulations on getting your heavy-duty truck licence. You're part of the Mercedes-Benz and Fuso trucks. Fantastic information and advice for. Just keep an eye out there, folks, for trucks. It's a tough time for these drivers who are fasting, particularly in the afternoons. We've got more coming up with Motor Mania straight after this.